Hey, nice here. The recent snapshots have been focusing on ambient additions, like these interesting blocks and biome-specific mobs. But there are also older experimental additions, like the minecart settings and the village trading, the latter of which they have started to add into the regular snapshots. These changes will have major effects for gameplay, so instead, I want to talk about leaf particles. These started with cherry leaves, which are actually blossoms, and then recently they were part of the pale oaks, and now every leaf block creates them tinted to the appropriate biome. Which is great, except for one thing. Spruce trees are unlike any other tree in Minecraft. You can classify trees in many different ways. Angiosperms have flowers, gymnosperms don't. You can also classify spruce as a conifer. They have cones. All of these trees are deciduous, meaning they drop their leaves seasonally, and healthy trees will still drop some of their leaves throughout the year. Spruce trees, however, are evergreens and maintain their leaves for years. They don't drop off. And yes, I said leaf. The rest of these trees have broad leaves, and spruce have needles, but they are also technically leaves. There are about 40 species in real life, and I have a sad-looking Colorado spruce in my backyard. The base is mostly littered with needles from the arbor vitae next to it, but there are still some branches, needles, and cones around the base. A healthy needle can stay attached for many years, but needles falling is an important part of a conifer forest. Many conifers are allelopathic, meaning they release chemicals to inhibit plant competition around them. These dropped needles break down and make the soils acidic. This is an important part of the production of real-life podzol. So why do they drop broad leaves in game? Because it's easy to just use one texture. All of these trees use the same set of leaf textures. And then the tint can be adjusted to whatever you need for the specific tree and biome. It doesn't even need to be green. You can tint it to be whatever you want. Here's the whole range of color that you can produce with the leaf particle. Basically just an RGB cube. They stay mostly together as it falls down, and then it just looks really weird if you have this many, they just disappear. It has this like random spiral that's not random. Most of the leaves stay in towards the center, but then some get like thrown like really far out. I'm not sure what causes it, but it's the same every time. Maybe it's position based or something. Whatever it is, it's pretty. Except here's the weird part. The pale oak leaf particles don't use this system. They have their own set of 12 textures that are exactly the same, except they have their color like hard baked into it. Maybe this is just a snapshot thing for now, but you could just set the right tint with the tinted leaves and it would be exactly the same. But I'm getting distracted. Let's get back to the spruce issue. I think that spruce trees should have needles. So here's my attempt with some single and double needles. Arborist, please relax. I know double needles are a pine thing, but in my defense, the wiki uses the term spruce and pine, all depending on the shape of the tree it's talking about. And if we start going down the fix Minecraft trees route, then oak trees dropping apples is probably the bigger issue. I have a proposed change for birch trees as well. Their leaves yellow as they age in real life, and I think it would look quite nice if the birch trees dropped yellow leaves instead of green leaves. The leaf litter that was added is brown, and it's a little bit strange that the leaves fall green and then they just become brown. When I was reading the snapshot that introduced leaf litter, I actually misinterpreted a line and thought they were doing something else entirely. It says leaf litter can have different amounts of leaves in one block space. Up to 4 leaf litter pieces can be placed in the same block space. Placing a leaf litter into an already placed leaf litter block increases the number of leaves. My interpretation of this was not just a retextured cherry petal. I thought they were adding leaf piles. I just retextured snow, but this is what I thought it was going to be. I thought you could actually stack up layers, and then you could have a full block. I would prefer if it was like powdered snow, where you could just walk into it, and so you could like trudge through it. But I was excited for this, and I was a little bit disappointed when it just turned out to be retextured cherry petals. It would be pretty cool if they started off as a nice green color, and then they gradually transitioned through the autumn colors before ending up at brown. You could even prevent the color change by adding wax or taking it off with an axe. I'm just kidding about that part. Let's change topics to Rails. The most viewed video on my channel is me complaining about the lack of love for Minecarts, and it's aged very well. Many of the issues that I brought up in that video have at least been worked on now. Carts can already go through portals now, and in the experiments we have momentum and there is a speed setting. I haven't made a follow-up video on this because I was hoping they were actually going to be implementing those changes into the gameplay in some way. I don't want this just to be a setting for the game. I want it to be controllable in-game. Please keep this in the game. I'm a big fan of the firefly bush and the biome variety of, looks like a fox got to the chickens back there. Anyway, I'm a big fan of the ambient changes. Hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. How can you add more pig varieties, even one with muddy feet, and not have any interaction with mud? Mojang, why do you torture me so?